School kids' vaccines, the next COVID political fight. Joining us on Columbus on the Record this week, Darrell Rowland, senior editor at the Columbus Dispatch, Terry Casey, Republican strategist, and Joseph Mas of the Ohio Hispanic Coalition. The Ohio Department of Health says it wants to hit the ground running when federal agencies approve COVID-19 vaccines for younger children. Approval for kids aged 5 to 11 could come in the next couple of weeks. The state is working with pediatricians and children's hospitals to come up with a plan. The Biden administration expects kids can get their shots at their doctor's offices, pharmacies, and school-based health clinics. Darrell Rowland, do you anticipate this vaccine rollout and acceptance of these vaccines to be any more or less controversial than the adult vaccine rollout?
I think since we're talking about children here, our children, our grandchildren in some cases, it's probably going to be even more controversial. And that's despite, we're talking about 28 million children aged 5 to 11 in this country. We just had hours before we came on the show here that Pfizer told the FDA its vaccine was almost 91% effective in the kids. And this goes before the CDC November 2nd and 3rd. So we're just talking about a couple weeks away from this perhaps being launched. And as you say, it's like both in Washington and in Columbus, it's like driver start your engines time.
Yeah.
They're primed to get the vaccine out, but will there be parents willing to take their kids? Well, and we all know there's going to be some that will rush right away, get that vaccine. Oh, it's about time. I want my kids to be safer in school or wherever they are. There'll be others are, no, I have questions. I don't want them putting anything into my kids' arms. So that's going to be the question. What percentage shakes down into each of those camps? It's going to be interesting to see in Ohio and across the country.
Yeah. Terry Casey, you can see how, parents would say, I got the vaccine, but, I'm older. It's less risk. But you can see parents being perhaps a little more hesitant with their children, even though we can assume that the FDA and the CDC, that they will have had tests and it will be deemed safe like other vaccines and like the first vaccines were.
Well, there's an added complication with children compared to us adults going and getting our vaccine. You just can't go around and go putting shots in the arms of kids without written, signed, and advance authorization by the parents. That happens to be the law, and parents normally need to get and want to see the 1 page or so warning sheet of all the things that could happen. So the legal complications, and as the New York Times noted in the article you sent out, inoculating children's a little more challenging because, as they said in the article, sometimes little kids, they see needles and things like that, they cry. So clearly doing this, rolling it out, is not going to be as simple and easy as we would like because of that required parental signing and authorization.
Joe Mas, do you see schools mandating vaccines? Like, say, not even just schools, perhaps like a children's daycare or a place where kids go to see a show. Do you see them mandating those folks have vaccines?
I do, and you know why? Because that's the workaround in order to accomplish what Terry was talking about, to have the parents willingly take the kids down and sign whatever papers they need to sign and so on. You also mentioned in the introduction about clinics, school clinics offering the shots. I think that is a possibility, particularly in rural counties where other health facilities may not be easy to come across. However, I think that the actual target, the actual way to get this thing done is through mandates, and then see how the parents react.
Darrell, you can see we're already seeing school board fights over masks and in critical race theory, which is not related to COVID. But Darrell, you can see some parents saying, I don't want any shots given out in my kid's school. It's not the school's place to administer medicine.
I know. And of course, we here in Ohio, like many states, before you even start school, you have to have your kids be vaccinated. I mean, certainly there are exemptions there, but generally speaking, you have to have certain vaccinations before you go to school, and then later on before you go to college. But there is such extra heat, and for whatever reason, stigma placed on these COVID vaccines. You're right. It's going to be a painful process. I mean, I suppose ideally what we'd love to see is, enough kids get vaccinated, and the infection rate goes down. We've seen for how many weeks now, the ones going to the hospital are the younger kids, not always the youngest of the young, but these folks are totally vulnerable now. But if that infection rate starts going down, hopefully other folks who are skeptical will say, yeah, this really is working. It's really effective. And, there's been no ramifications for it. I'll send my kids in now.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how it rolls out. We expect this approval to come perhaps in the first week of November. Ohio's redistricting process remains in limbo. Members of the state's redistricting commission are being questioned by lawyers for groups suing them over the state legislative maps. Senate President Matt Huffman says the legal fight is part of the reason why the commission has not yet released a proposed map of congressional districts. The commission has until the end of this month, about 10 days from now, to do that, or the maps go back into the hands of the state legislature. Terry Casey, what do you think is going on here? Is this just part of the game plan, just kick it back to the legislature, or is it really questions about how this lawsuit turns out?
Well, you could almost bet with 100% certainty it's going to go to the legislature in November, because when they get the second chance at it, it takes a lower threshold in terms of number of votes of Democrats in order to pass a plan and achieve the 10-year thing. So I think it's going to go back to the legislature in November, and clearly all of the machinations of the litigation is part of what slowed it down. Plus, of course, ideally it would have been nice without COVID to have had the data back in the spring where you had more time to work with the numbers, Democrats and Republicans, to come together. So November is almost certainly going to be it. Not anything out of the commission yet in October.
Joe Mas, do you see any Democrats in the state legislature signing on to a congressional map that is as skewed as the state legislative districts maps were?
No, and it's interesting because every time that this topic has come up in previous panels, I think the consensus has been that this is exactly what was going to happen. It was going to go back to the General Assembly and go for the short-term solution rather than do the right thing. And when I say do the right thing, I'm talking about both parties. I also want to remind the panel that at one time, or at least the first offer on the part of the Democrats on the commission did give a favorable treatment to Republicans of 55-45 sort of split. But apparently that's not enough. So here we find ourselves basically watching it happen just as we knew it was going to happen.
Darrell Rowland, what do you think map makers, they're controlled by Republicans, what do you think they have to do to win the Democratic support they need to make this map last 10 years and not just the 4?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know if I mean, right now it's 12-4, so that's 75 to 25% split in terms of members of Congress. We lose one district, so we're divvying up 15 districts. I mean, I would think the Democrats would want at least 5 districts out of that. They would want to preserve their, if not a majority districts, at least significant minority presence districts in both Cleveland and Columbus. But I don't know if Republicans are going to give it to them. And they are kind of in the position where we kind of don't have to. I mean, with all due respect to President Huffman, I mean, we're working on one lawsuit, so we can't chew gum at the same time or whatever. It's not like the attorneys are making the maps or what have you. Almost every editorial board in the state has condemned this process. Not because they necessarily love the Democrats and hate the majority Republicans, but because Ohio voters thought these kind of machinations were over with, perhaps naively. But as a whole, we all voted for, huge percentages of us voted for reforms in this, and to reflect at least more so what our general political breakdown is, rather than just one-sided or another, whether it's D or R.
Yeah. Terry, was the penalty not big enough? Instead of having a 10-year map, you have a 4-year map, which seems like 4 years is a lifetime in today's politics. The penalty just wasn't there.
Well, you can call it a penalty, you can call it an incentive, but one of the things to watch for, if rumors are correct, look and see if there's an Akron-centric congressional district created that the Sykes family, who have 2 seats on the commission, would be created so that Minority Leader Amelia could run for and have that congressional seat. And then obviously Cleveland has shrunk up, so there's a lot of things that could play out. And always in congressional districts, there's a lot of legislators who desire and might want to be a member of Congress. So there's a lot of behind the scenes wheeling and dealing that could and might happen in November, when I think maybe it'll get done.
That's what I was getting at earlier, Joe, that there could be some of this horse trading, and they could peel off. They only need a handful of Democrats to sign on to make this map last for 10 years.
Yeah, I don't see the 10-year option. And by the way, I have to compliment Terry on his rather sinister projection here as to what might happen in the district. I nothing against the Sykes family, but I hope that we don't see something quite as obvious as that. Nevertheless, the Democrats can't sign on to it the way that it appears to be going right now.
Okay. It may not be a smoking gun, but it's at least smoldering. The Cleveland Plain Dealer and the Associated Press this week published text messages of a now former First Energy executive indicating that then Public Utilities Commission Chair Sam Randazzo was helping First Energy. The text from former First Energy CEO Chuck Jones says Randazzo overruled other PUCO commissioners and staff on 2 matters that benefited First Energy. The text chain also noted there was a lot of talk in the halls of the PUCO about whether Randazzo worked for the agency or for First Energy. Randazzo does not face any charges in the nuclear bailout scandal, but the FBI did raid his home. Joe, I'll ask you to put your attorney's hat on right now, Joe Mas. Is this enough? Randazzo has not been charged, but is this enough to lead to charges, do you think, this text message chain?
I do. You know, the email that I read, and then maybe others, just seems very clear. I don't know what these people were thinking. Why would you put something like that in writing in today's environment where emails just have a life of their own? They just, get out there in the stratosphere and they remain forever. But the text of it appeared to be very clear. It says, hey, be careful because Randazzo is putting the kibosh on the report, and at the same time he's overruling staff members and other commissioners. They're in black and white. So in my opinion, I think this thing is going to continue to expand, and further criminal indictments are quite likely.
To be clear, Randazzo was not a part of this text thread chain. It was just the executives with First Energy. So we don't know exactly what his side of the story is yet, Daryl. Will we hear his side of the story? Has there been any talk from prosecutors of possibly filing criminal charges against him? He has resigned from the PUCO. We mentioned his home was raided by the FBI.
Well, federal prosecutors are not exactly the most loquacious folks on pending cases. So, to say we have really inside knowledge, well, at least I'll say for myself, I don't know. But I'm like Joe. I'm not an attorney. I don't even play one here on your show. But it does not look good. It just seems things are laid out very clearly that Mr. Randazzo was heavily involved in this on behalf of First Energy, when he was purportedly, supposed to be a little bit more of a referee, if you will, on all of Ohio's utility interests. And Joe talks about how far will this expand? That's a great question, because this is the closest involvement you're going to get, I think, from the current governor, Mike DeWine. Governor DeWine appointed Mr. Randazzo. Says, of course, he knew nothing of these connections. But as more and more comes out, and again, so far, Governor DeWine has pretty much stood by Mr. Randazzo, at least as far as we didn't know things at the time, and he's still a good guy, still has expertise. this could splash up against him. We obviously have an election right around the corner.
Yeah, Terry, but so far, I mean, outside the Capitol Square, political folks, this really isn't, I don't get the feeling it's resonating a whole lot. What's it going to take for, I mean, there'll be negative ads, I'm sure, as the campaign heats up in the next few months, but what's it going to take for this to catch on? Will it ever catch on as a major issue in the upcoming campaign?
One of the complications for the Democrats in Larry Householder becoming Speaker, half the votes he got in order to make him Speaker came from Democrats. So the Democrats can throw things, but they've got a little mud and blood on their hands. The big problem is First Energy has basically admitted somewhat they offered or paid bribes or excessive money. So First Energy's got some explaining to do. And clearly, Mr. Randazzo's attorney is going to be busy trying to spin it from his end legally. So to be determined, we're going to hear more later.
As a court observer, Joe Maz, it's been pretty quiet lately in this case. Federal prosecutions tend to take a lot longer than state or local prosecutions. Do you think that there are plea deal negotiations happening? What do you think is going on behind the scenes here?
Yeah, let's not forget that I think we have 3 people who have pled already. And when that happens, quite often is because there is a side deal concerning cooperation. And one thing leads to the other. And if the feds want to talk to you, boy, I tell you, I want to be first in line because the person who's first in line is likely to get the best deal. After that, you wait too long for them to talk to you. And by that time, it's not going to be looking really good.
Terry Casey, getting back to the PUCO, which is its job is to regulate utilities, moving beyond this, regardless of what happens to former Chairman Randazzo, there are calls to reform. The Consumers Council has asked for a consumer to be seated on the PUCO. What changes need to be made, if any, in the wake of this situation?
The PUCO is a challenging mess because it's so highly technical, legally and engineering-wise complex. You just can't put anybody on there to understand quite all the nuances of this issue under state law, federal law, et cetera. So you've always got a trade-off. Is it better to have somebody that knows the bad things to look for and how to navigate and make sure it isn't abused? Or do you have somebody that's, so to speak, new to the field who doesn't know much? So it's tough whatever you do because it is such a complex legal and engineering mess.
All right. Columbus voters are seeing an unusual question on their ballots this fall. Issue 7 would create an energy conservation and energy efficiency fund to promote those efforts. If passed, it would set aside nearly $19 million in city tax money to support conservation and clean energy programs. But once approved, it appears the money would be controlled not by elected officials, but by a private corporation. City officials fiercely oppose this. They say it will mean cuts to other city services. The proponents of the measure say, well, we really don't know what they have to say because they're hard to find. Darrell Rowland, what do we know about the group behind this question?
Wow, that's the question of the hour for issue 7. It's a group called Pro Energy Limited Liability Corporation. They've been around and tried similar gambits in other jurisdictions outside Ohio. It is a for-profit company. One of their organizers for their petition effort is currently facing some election law violation allegations as being up on charges, civil charges for that. And you're right, the details are very, very hazy here. We're talking $87 million a year, which is between 10 and 11% of cities' operating fund revenue, general fund revenue. How would that be used? What the opponents really fear is, in the year 2021, things like green energy, clean energy, conservation, efficiency, all those are kind of buzzwords and pretty positive, especially in a city like Columbus. It's, more liberal than some others. But the opponents unanimously agree that this has nothing to do with clean energy or any of that. This is about handing this money to this for-profit corporation, and basically they decide how it's used, and they are allowed to skim off X% in terms of operating revenue.
This,
And just the folks, you look at the opponents, and when I say opponents, it's Democrats and Republicans, it's city officials, civic officials, it's both business interests and environmental interests. So it's a very broad coalition that is opposing this measure.
so Joe Mas, the question is, how did this get on the ballot? I mean, if we don't know, the campaign seems to be non-existent. The website for this group is not running. The Facebook page is pretty sparse. I think that Daryl's right. They're looking for that headline that's on the ballot and say, hey, I'm up for energy conservation. I'm going to vote yes on this.
Boy, I have no idea. And apparently they have been working on issues like this back since 2013 and then 2014 again, except you can't talk to anybody because you can't find who in the world might be behind it. And usually, if you have an initiative that has to do with, green subjects, you've got activists going out and talking to communities, and boy, they can't wait to talk to the media. This seems to be the other way around. So I think Daryl is correct. I think this is some sort of a management scheme where X number of millions of dollars are taken from the city. And of course, property taxes would have to increase probably.
Yeah.
And then that money will be used maybe to pay some utility bills of people that are in need, and then a management fee. And that's what it's beginning to look like.
Terry Casey, should the
So-
city be putting some money aside? Maybe not $90 million or $87 million a year, but for green energy and energy conservation?
Well, I'm going to be more blunt than anybody else. This is nothing but a shell game. It's a con game. The Dispatch editorial was very good. And I wish the mayor's TV ad was more blunt and clear in what a fraud this is, because to siphon off that massive amount of money to some unknown group with no accountability is basically criminal fraud. And hopefully people wake up in the last week and aren't fooled by the title Clean Energy and realize what as I said, shell game it is.
All right. A little lighter topic. If you're tired of the red and white Ohio license plate that looks to us like the back of an envelope, soon you'll have a chance for a new design. Governor DeWine this week unveiled the latest design of the Ohio license plate. It's a pastoral setting with a wheat field, a sunny state emblem, a skyline of some sort, a river of some sort, some hills, a tree, a little girl, a dog, and of course, the Wright brothers plane, the legally mandated slogan, birthplace of Ohio. At first, the plane had the Wright brothers flying in reverse, but the state has turned that plane around and now it is correct. Terry Casey, you're a historian, bit of an art critic. What do you think of the license plate?
Well, I know the difference between Van Gogh and Monet. This license plate is neither one of them, but it is pretty, in my opinion, and my worry was, does it interfere and make it harder for law enforcement, or like on toll roads, does it work? So I called the director of the Ohio Turnpike. He assured me that the special optical readers can read this okay, but it is an interesting art question, and I don't think they'll win a prize of $500,000 selling this artwork, but it's interesting. It gives us pride in Ohio, but we'll let the real art critics decide how good it is.
Well, maybe that's why it's a wheat field and not a corn or a soybean field, which are far more plentiful in Ohio, because the wheat, of course, is yellow, and that helps the blue letters stand out. Right, Daryl? Is that your analysis of this fine piece of work?
Yeah, but you don't want too much blue and gold here for Ohio State fans to start thinking about another state and their license plates, maybe. Yeah, we had the bicentennial plate. We had the one that Francis Strickland helped design. John Casey didn't like that, so we got a new one that had, a lot of people didn't like that because it has lots of letters that even up close to the plate, they're hard to read about various Ohio attractions. This is kind of busy, has a lot of elements in it, but it does have some bold designs to it that I think is kind of distinctive. So we'll see. People go for it.
Joe Mas, it's very similar to the one that Francis Strickland picked out all those years ago. I don't know if they could sue for copyright infringement or whatever, but it's very similar because it has everything on it. It's got a dog, a girl, skyline, wheat, trees. It's almost like it was formed by committee. There's no cats, no corn, there's no football, there's no factories. What do you think?
I think it's beautiful. I like it. And by the way, as the one member of the panel that worked for an aerospace company for many years, I have to point out to our viewers that what happened is that the Wright flyer had the elevator in the front rather than in the back like airplanes have today. And that's the reason that the artist originally took the flyer and flipped it around.
So we'll blame the Wright brothers.
It was great that somebody picked that out. It's a lot of fun. And I plan to get one of those for my new RV.
All right. We're running out of time. Let's get to our off-the-record parting shots. Joe Mas, you're up first.
Yeah, Mike, Terry Casey and I have been each other's loyal opposition for many years now. But one thing we do agree on is in our support for WOSU's membership drive. Look up WOSU.org on your computer and give generously to your local and reliable source for accurate news programming.
We did not ask Joe to say that, just for the record. Terry Casey, you're up next.
I agree with Joe, but on a sad note, Columbus is now on track to be at or around or maybe over 200 murders for the year. And when you look back previous to 2020, Columbus averaged 106 murders per year. So we're going to be, by the end of this year, almost 200 murders or over, which is very sad for this community. And hopefully City Hall will wake up instead of taking so long to discover gangs are part of the problem.
Darrell, Darrell Rowland, a quick final thought, about 10 seconds.
Yes, for the first time in American history, U.S. physicians are a minority in private practice. I wrote about the cost and the care implications of all that on dispatch.com.
All right.
That's my self-promotion.
Check that out. That's it for Columbus on the Record for this week. Check us out online, WOSU.org. We'll see you next week. Take care.